Copilot is a strong competitor to Monarch Money, so I want to compare these two apps so that you can pick the right budgeting tool for you and your family. These videos are unsponsored, so I try to stay as unbiased as possible, but I do have more experience with Monarch Money, so there will be a bit of a familiarity bias there. When I review budgeting apps, I try to look at these through the lens of my clients. So that could be couples budgeting together, business owners, people juggling multiple streams of income, people with properties and rental expenses that they're trying to track, or maybe just more complex financial scenarios. So I'll be focusing on those features that you'll need when your finances are not super simple. My name is Taylor. I'm a financial coach. I help my clients set up budgeting apps, but also create budgets that will help them spend in alignment with their values, pay off debt, save more money, and achieve their financial goals. So let's get started. I am reviewing these budgeting apps in 3 stages. Stage 1 will be setup and usability. Stage 2 will be transactions, categorizing and budgeting features. And stage 3 is the reporting and goals. So we're going to start off with Copilot and their general usability. First thing to know is that Copilot is a Apple-only product. So you'll only be able to use this budgeting app on an Apple, a Mac, iOS platform. Overall aesthetics of the app are beautiful. You have tons of data all in one place. They put a lot here. It could be a little overwhelming, but I really like it. I think it's really slick. It looks clean. Overall usability is just really good. I think all the buttons do what you want them to. All of the general functionality of the app is clean. The overall, I am really impressed with the app itself. As far as connections go, if you connect your accounts, you can automatically import transactions just like most budgeting apps. These transactions come in from using companies like Plaid and Finicity. For Monarch Money, there's actually 3. So there's Plaid, Finicity, and MX. So they do have one more connector to help you make sure that you have the connections to your budgeting apps that you need. Here's the thing. Both of these apps are going to be able to connect to majority of banks. Majority of your accounts, investments, banks, because you can connect your investments. You can also, in Copilot, you can also put even more than your investments. You can put stuff like your net worth, like your property, vehicle values, and all of that stuff. But as far as the account linking goes, the only way to really know if it's going to work for you is if you take advantage of those free trials and connect your bank accounts to make sure that they connect with you. The only ones you'll really have to worry about are really obscure banks, really small credit unions, but even then you might have great success with the platforms. So the only one that doesn't really connect really well in Copilot is Venmo. The Venmo, they do have a really interesting setup with Venmo where it is an email forwarding system that will help you categorize your Venmo transactions. Whereas in Monarch, it's an actual account that you connect, and I think it's a lot cleaner in Monarch. So Copilot the Venmo thing was weird. I couldn't really quite figure that out myself. So that is just something to be aware of as far as connections go. Overall, the net worth view is very clean. You have a nice view of your assets and debt. Every single account, if you click on them, will give you the overview of the balances that have happened in the last period that you select, as well as the recent transactions. So it's looking really good. You can also see your investments inside Copilot. You can see top movers, so top stocks here, all the investment accounts that you have, and get reporting on your investments, which is really great for budgeting apps. The dashboard is nice and clean. There's not a lot of customizability here. It's not very customizable, but it is telling you a lot of data. You have monthly spending, your net worth, top categories, a summary of your upcoming charges, and a cash flow report all in your dashboard. One other thing to note here is in Copilot, there is no shared access. You cannot invite your partner to have a login or their own login. You can, of course, have your partner connect their accounts, but you will have to share logins in order to do that. So that is just one downside there. Here we are in Monarch now, and let's go ahead and compare to Monarch's overall look here. Again, very clean, lots of data on your dashboard. And the thing with this dashboard in Monarch Money is you do have customization here. You can really drag and drop any of these items around to really customize and see exactly what you want to see. You can toggle on and off any of these widgets as well in your dashboard to see what you want. Monarch does have credit score monitoring now. That is something that Copilot does not have yet. This is brand new in Monarch Money, this credit score monitoring, but it is now available, which is very cool. The accounts page and the ability to really monitor your net worth is also really clean. This is what it looks like in Monarch. Again, you can connect just everything that you can in Copilot as well. They're pretty spot on as far as what you can connect. Monarch does have the ability to connect to Venmo like a bank account, and I really like that. I think the connection is really clean. You have really clean transactions and lists of transactions from Venmo. It treats it like an account, so you even have your Venmo balance in there. But you have your investment accounts. You can connect real estate, loans, all of your accounts, everything that you could possibly want to have in here to have a full net worth picture. You can even manually add jewelry and all the stuff that you want to have there. Now, unlike Copilot, where it has like a whole lot of data all in one page, you do have to click on an account in order to see the transactions. So if you wanted to see the transactions for your checking, you just click in here. You'll see the summary of the balance for this account as well as all the transactions inside it. So not so much data all in one place, which may be nice, or maybe not as overwhelming, but also could be a downside. You do see your investment page as well. When you connect your investment accounts, you will see all of the holdings, summaries of reporting, and everything like that against benchmarks that you set as well. Monarch does have shared access. You can invite your spouse. They will have their own login. You can even give your access to your financial professional. So your accountant, your advisor, if they want to see inside your budgeting apps, you can do that. They will have their own login and they can access your account. That way you can have customized settings, the light dark mode, customized notifications as well. But just be aware that when you add your household member, everything else looks the same. Your net worth page is the same. It doesn't split it based on household member. Your net worth is a combined net worth. Your budget is a combined budget. So just keep that in mind. There is limitations to having the shared access, but at least you do have your own logins. So again, overall, the usability, the aesthetics, it really does just come down to personal preference. There's not a huge deal breaker as far as just usability for both these apps. I think they're both very good budgeting apps. For this next stage, we are talking about budgeting, transactions, and just overall automations for these two apps. So let's start with Copilot. First off, it's super easy to customize your categories. In fact, when you get started, you have less categories in Copilot than you do in Monarch, which is kind of nice. But both apps have the ability to add categories, add groups, budget by group, budget by category, really flexible budgeting features, which I really like. That means you can be as complex or simple as you would like. In Copilot, the one downside I will point out is that you do not categorize your income. It just all goes into an income pot. It's there for your cash flow purposes, but for your budget, there's no way to budget for your income or plan income. This is a deal breaker for a lot of my clients. So a lot of my clients have very fluctuating income that they want to be tracking diligently. They have multiple sources of income that they want reports on. They want to see, hey, how much did I make in this source versus that? And so not having the ability to track income categories is a huge downside in my opinion. But as far as the budgeting features go, again, it's really easy to add categories, edit the budget. Every time you select a category, it will show you the historical average and all the spending by month, all in one view. There's not a lot you have to click around. There's no additional windows that you have to move into, which is really slick. You even see past transactions, everything inside that category that you've categorized in there. And then you can change your budget really easily by dragging and dropping this little guy here to be whatever you want it to be. So if you're trying to cut back on car expenses, I guess that was a weird one to select, you can save that budget and it's going to adjust your budget, and now you're kind of trying to pull back. That's where your budget is compared to your historical. You can even turn off budgeting entirely, which I thought was really cool. So you'll notice here you have what's spent so far and what's your budget. If you click on this button right here, it'll turn off budgeting. What it's going to do is compare what you spent to last period, which I think is really cool, especially for those who aren't really super focused on the day-to-day budgeting aspects. You can, of course, do rollovers as well. This is really important for if you have every other month expenses or quarterly expenses that you want to be tracking and you want to budget that monthly average. You can do that as well. You can turn on those rollover settings here and select which month you start that rollover. You can exclude categories from budgeting. So if you want to track stuff, but you also want to exclude it from cash flow and budgeting, you can absolutely do that as well. One thing that I really like about Copilot is it has this ability to rebalance your budget. So if you click on the rebalance option right at the top here, you can click on this guy and it will try to rebalance your budget. That means that if you budgeted so much for clothing, but you didn't budget enough here, it's going to automatically move all of those categories that you over budgeted and apply it to all of those categories that you under budgeted. It's a really easy way to reconcile your budget, clean up your budget every month, and you can start the next budget nice and fresh. And it really helps you make sure you're budgeting the right amount for all of your regular categories. As far as categorizing itself, you got to categorize in order to get good budgets and data. And so here is that transaction page. You can see everything all in one spot here. It gives the merchant name, the tags that you've used. You can mark it as needs review, change the category very easily to any category that makes sense for you, and the dollar amounts. Of course, if you click on one, you can also leave a note, and you can see I left one here, and that's where it shows it on the transaction view. You can attach things to the goal, change the date, change the merchant. So super customizable as you're getting your transaction data in here. It also separates out and leaves a little icon for income versus regular expenses versus recurring expenses. This little icon here is indicating this is a recurring expense, and it will give you all of the past transactions that you've also purchased with the same merchant. Now, one thing to know is, let's say you go ahead and change a category. Instead of Taco Bell, you want to make sure this goes to dining out, to restaurants. So I'm going to change this category. You have the ability to set a rule for this. Rules are very limited in Copilot. This is also one of those things that feels like slightly a big deal breaker for at least me and my clients. We like to set rules so that everything is really automated. My clients are busy, they have families, they have businesses, they are not going to want to go in and categorize stuff all the time. And so we've set up tons of rules to make sure that everything is going in the right place without them having to be in there all the time. With Copilot, the rules are extremely limited. You can only set a rule on merchant name, and that just wouldn't cut it for my clients. So rules extremely limited. The AI says it does learn. It does learn as you categorize things. It does try to learn, and rather than even just creating rules, it does try to learn based off of how you change your categories. There's just lots of rules that we've put in Monarch that I just have a hard time believing that this system will set up for them. And finally, close to finally, Copilot does have a connection to Amazon, so it will help you categorize your Amazon purchases. It'll leave notes of what you bought, so it will specify, and you can see all of that inside Copilot. You just need to connect your Amazon and Copilot together. Lastly is the recurring section. This recurring section is superior to Monarch. I will say I love the functionality inside Copilot when it comes to the recurring page, mostly because it actually has function. First off, it picked up the recurring stuff very well, I thought. It did a great job, as well as this dashboard for recurring is really good. It tells you what your bills are, what you have left to pay for this month, what's come out. The thing I really like is that the recurring calendar does affect budget. That is something that Monarch does not do, and it's a kind of a bummer. But if you go to categories, I want you to notice right here in the shops category, if I click on this guy right here, you'll notice that this is not quite green like the other ones. It looks a little different. It's because it's taking out a subscription that it knows is coming up but hasn't quite hit yet. It's already taking it out of the budget, which I think is so cool and such a cool feature that really made me happy. So overall, the recurring calendar I do think is just has more functionality and purpose inside Copilot. So let's move over to Monarch when it comes to budgeting and transaction management. As far as the budgeting features goes, I do think that the overall budget outlook is a little bit better, mostly because of that income categorization and the ability to budget your income. I think this is really important to make sure you get paid, monitor those extra paychecks, monitor your reoccurring or your fluctuating income, those bonuses, commissions, all of those things. I think is really important to monitor, and the fact that Copilot doesn't is a little funny to me. But in Monarch, it's really easy to set expectations. That's what your budget is you set the expectation of what you will expect to get, and you can monitor to make sure you actually receive those income. If you click on the income source, it also helps you figure out what your average income is to help you budget with fluctuating income. So I really, really like that feature as well. I also prefer the budgeting feature in Monarch, mostly because like the drag and drop is awesome in Copilot, just the ability to drag and drop on each one. But I think it's just a little easier to kind of just type in what you want to budget and make those changes as you go. I think the budgeting layout is really slick. You also have two ways to budget. You have category budgeting, which is that classic way of budgeting. You also have flex budgeting inside Monarch. That means you really budget only for, maybe detailed on your bills so that you can pay attention to bills, make sure they come out. But then you can also set a flex budget here for just all the categories like spending money, just categories that are going to fluctuate month to month that you don't necessarily want to be really specific about. You can set a flex budget and say, hey, we're just trying to keep our spending money under $4,000. And I really like those features as well. Budgeting is great in both apps, but as far as categorizing goes, here's your transaction page to categorize your expenses. As we scroll down, you'll notice that there we have the merchant name, the category, the account that it came out of, as well as lots of details on tags that you've set, notes that you've set. If you click on any transaction to open up more details, that's where you'll write the notes, change the date. You can also assign it to your partner. If you're like, hey, I don't know what this is, can Melanie look at it? You can assign it to someone else. And if your partner's in here, it'll have both names in here. But you can assign it to them and it'll give them a notification of, hey, what is this? Can you categorize this? If you've attached a transaction to a goal, it'll tell you that it is part of that goal. And it does also connect with Amazon, just like Copilot. Monarch does have a extension that will connect Amazon, and it will sync your transactions and leave notes of what you bought, so that at the end it'll try to categorize it for you. It'll split the transaction for you. So lots of details there. Now, the rule functions are extremely good inside Monarch. It's just one of the best. So if we were to say, a Zelle came through, right? And this Zelle's 120, and maybe that's for your kids' guitar lessons or piano lessons, right? You can categorize it as such, or, something there, and you can create a rule for it. These rules are very, very detailed. So if you have a Zelle and it's always 120, you can make sure that all Zelles that are 120 go into kids' activities. So you can be really detailed. Let's say you go to the gas station, rather than putting the gas station in gas. If you just bought a coffee or something, if you can set a rule for any gas station purchases less than $20 is actually going to go to restaurants. You can be very, very specific with the rules. You can base it off of account and category. And this is really important for my clients as we're trying to automate their budget as much as possible, so they don't have to be in here categorizing all the time. Going back to budget, I did forget one feature inside the budgeting, that you can do rollovers. Just like Copilot, I mentioned you can turn on rollovers. With Monarch, you can turn them on for just a single category or all categories. If you click on a gear icon, you can budget for the rollovers this way, turn them on. And that means that if your water bill comes out every other month, you can set up a average and it will carry forward if you don't spend it. I almost forgot about the recurring page in Monarch Money. So it does try to pick up all the recurring expenses when you first get set up on your onboarding. I don't think it does as good of a job as finding the recurring things as it did in Copilot, but it does do a good job, and it's totally customizable. You can add stuff, delete stuff, has a nice summary of what's been paid and what is expected to be coming out, as well as a calendar view to really see everything in a nice, sleek way of what to expect as far as bills go. There is limitations as far as functionality goes. I mean, that's pretty much it. You see a calendar view, you see a list view. It's just something to be aware of, but it doesn't actually affect your budget. It doesn't come out of your budget, that is something that Copilot does a little bit better. So I definitely like that feature in Copilot a lot more. So overall, as far as budgeting and transactions, Copilot is slick. They have some features I wish Monarch had, but overall, I think Copilot is best for more surface level, basic budgeting. Monarch is going to really stand out when it comes to automation, precision, and detail. But again, both are looking really great. I do just prefer budgeting overall in Monarch, although there are some really cool features in Copilot that I think are very neat. All right, our last section is reporting and goals. So let's talk about Copilot first. First off, we do have your cash flow reporting available inside Copilot. It gives you a summary of your income. So that is one thing. I mean, it does summarize your income. It will put that in there, but it is just full income. You're not seeing a difference between, rental property income or business income, partner's income, social security income. You're not seeing a breakdown of income. You're just seeing total income, which I think is a huge, huge miss. And then overall spending is you have this ability to also check out spending, exclude certain categories that you don't want to see. However, there are no actual filters, or you can't run reports on tags. Tags are almost useless. They're just for search functions. There's no way to actually get a summary of, hey, how much do you spend in a certain tag, which my clients use tags for, tagging things that are tax deductible, or for a vacation, how much did they spend in Peru, versus there's so many ways you can use tags, but there's no way to really use them in Copilot. It's so limited when it comes to reporting, which this is a deal breaker for me for Copilot. It's just not, the reporting is not where I need it to be able to give my clients actionable data to work with as they put together a budget, as they plan for retirement and overall expenses in the year. Now, you can click on any of these and get details. I'm not saying you can't. You can click on these, it'll tell you what you spent. And I really like how it layers it all out, and you can see what your overall big spender is for the months that you select. Same with income. You can of course click on this and see the income sources. It's just not what I would like it to be, is all. As far as goals go inside Copilot, I do like goals a little bit better in Monarch, the way they've set it up. I think there's a lot more flexibility in the way they've managed goals. But I will say that there are limitations as far as goals for like debt. If you have credit card debt, I don't really see a lot of features here that will help you work toward and understand paying off your credit cards. Overall, Copilot, I believe, is really best for solo users, Apple enthusiasts, people who want an app. It's not a web browser, not a desktop version. They want they really like the visual aspects of Copilot. That's where it's going to shine. They want simplicity, just basic budgeting, metrics for them to follow month to month. Let's compare this to Monarch. So Monarch's reporting is by far probably my favorite features inside this budgeting app, but also one of the reasons I picked this budgeting app over most budgeting apps. The reporting is just beautiful, detailed, specific, and so much flexibility to get the data that you need. And so a lot of my clients, again, with multiple income sources, lots of expenses, lots of accounts, the reporting, you can filter for anything that you need. So if you want to only see your bills, right, you can filter a report for just how much are my bills going, or maybe a report on just how much am I spending on my grocery budget month to month. And you can see that in so many different ways. So many ways to view these same reports. Another report that my clients like to run is if they have rental properties, they might do rental income against rental expenses to kind of get a little profit loss going. You can do that with your business income as well. I can select business income, select my business expenses, and get a cash flow report on just business expenses, or vice versa, maybe just excluding business and only seeing personal. You can also get a breakdown of income. How much income have you made during the year, or whatever time period you selected, and get a nice breakdown so you can follow along and set goals when it comes to income. You can also run reports on just certain accounts. So if you have partner 1, partner 2, and you want to see how much is going on their credit card versus your credit card, you can filter by accounts as well. And you can do reports on tags. You can run a report on the tag let's see, Europe vacation, for example. Let's say you started tagging all of your expenses for a Europe trip, and you can see a total of everything that you've spent and where it went on the trip. Or for you can mark stuff that's tax reimbursable or tax deductible, or lots of different options as far as tags go. As far as goals go, you do have the ability to track credit card goals a little bit better than you did in Copilot. So if you're trying to pay off credit cards, I do think that the features in Monarch are better than Copilot's to help you pay those off, as well as lots of flexibility to get a really nice visual. You get a little image board. You can change the images of all these. You could to Hawaii and a car and all this stuff. Like, you can really customize this to get a nice vision board going inside Monarch for your goals. So overall, I think for Monarch, it's really best for folks with complex scenarios, lots of income sources, couples who are trying to budget together, so freelancers, business owners, people with rental properties, shared finances. These are all the reasons why you'd want to probably pick Monarch over Copilot. If you feel like I missed anything or got anything wrong, let me know. Let me know in the comments. I'd love to hear it. If you feel like I misrepresented any of these apps, please let me know. I'd love to hear. Everyone else would love to see what your experiences with either of these apps. If you liked one more than the other, that would be super valuable. So absolutely comment. Please feel free to subscribe if you want to see more comparison videos like this for various budgeting apps. And thank you so much.